I'm trying knit and chat with a different camera view this time. Usually I have the camera front facing and this time it's back facing just to see what the video quality will look like. But today I'm working on a new quadrant of the memory blanket. And yeah, so if you're new here, my name is Alicia. I am the owner of APLCrafts Fine Yarn. And this is my knit and chat. So I'm going to share a story with you today, which has just kind of really stuck with me in the last few days. This happened back on Wednesday. Today is Friday, 22nd of August. So, so my father-in-law died last week, and we had his funeral this past Wednesday. But this story actually takes place about 3 weeks ago, and it ties into the day of the funeral. So, how it started was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, I don't even want to say it was a month ago. It had to have been like 2.5 to 3 weeks ago. My car started making this weird noise, right? Like something was stuck in a wheel. Car was driving fine, braking fine, everything seemed to work fine. And we work on our own cars, so we're kind of trying to diagnose it. We had not had time yet, which kills me now, but it worked out. But we hadn't had time to like put it up on the ramps, the car on the ramps to look underneath. It just, because, you know, you have to understand at this point, my father-in-law is in hospice. We have all this stuff going on, paperwork, this, that. There was just no time. There just wasn't any time. And if you've been through this before, then you know what I'm talking about. There's just no time to go, oh, hey, by the way, let me look under the car when everything is running fine, right? As far as you can tell, you know, we're driving on the interstate a lot, driving through the city, everything. Car is running fine. It's just making this dun 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 dun, and then like after you get to a certain speed, it's fine, right? So, you know, we get to the day of the funeral, right? And the funeral home is a good hour, a little bit over an hour away from where we live, and we have to go pick up my husband's stepmother and then go drive to the funeral home. You know, it's starting to make that noise a little bit more, but otherwise, same old story. Okay. So we get off the interstate. We're on, you know, in the town, and that sound is ramping up. You know, we're like, okay, something's really wrong. We're really gonna have to check this out when we get home. But now we're like at the funeral home. We need to go inside. We do not have time to look around, right? That just was not happening. So, you know, do the service, whatever. And what stuck to me now was during the service, the pastor was talking about how you should be respectful to everyone because you never know if there's going to be an angel in your presence. This matters. Not being able to see the video. Okay, so this matters because, you know, we line the cars up for the procession, right? Because we're going now to the cemetery, and the car is really like we're very concerned at this point with this noise. What is this? Oh my God, what is going on? You know, and we're just like, let's hope we can make it to the cemetery. We get a couple miles, 3 miles maybe away from the funeral home, about 40 minutes, 45 minutes away from the cemetery. The car goes poof. We're like, oh my God, because it just was bad, and just cars goes poof, and we had to skid to the side. Now I don't know if you know anything about these Tennessee roads, but there's a lot of drop-offs. Like, maybe it's to contain water, I don't know, but like you have the end of the road and then it goes boom and then it goes flat to the house in a lot of places. We were at one of those places where it wasn't deep, but it was there. So we're like, you don't have a whole lot of room to pull over on a 2-lane road, right? So we get out of the car, we got the stepmother in the car, she's starting to freak out, and, we're looking around, no flat. What is it? The front driver tire was off of, the thing that holds this tire together, right? Like, it was just off, so it's at a tilt, right? How the hell did that happen? We have no freaking clue, right? How would we know, like, not realize that lug nuts were coming off of this car? And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I know that I check my tires almost every day, but I'm looking at, like, the tire. I'm not looking at the lug nuts or anything, right? So when you're focused on one thing, you're not really looking at another thing, because otherwise we would have caught that, right? How do you not catch that for 3.5 weeks? So now we're like, okay, we got to get this car jacked up. The processions over here, like everybody kind of went around us because we were right behind the hearse. And they paused and, like, they're waiting. They must have waited on us for a good 10 minutes. My son's coming up and we're like, get her and just go to the cemetery. Just go. We're going to have to figure this out, right? Don't wait on us, which, he's burying his father. The fact that he said that's huge. So we're like trying to jack up the car, try to get it on. Like, this is when we realized there are no studs, because we try to get the tire back onto the car. There's nothing to put the tire on. Like, everything is gone. We had one lug nut and one that was underneath the tire, like behind the tire, and it was just bent and no struts. Out of nowhere, I don't know where this guy came from. Like, I'm over here trying to direct traffic to get them, to move and whatever, because, I don't want a pile up. Out of nowhere, this guy just shows up, this big dude. Hey, excuse me, sir, I'll get this on for you. And, like, that's when he figures out that there's no struts or anything like that. And so he's trying to help us figure out what's going on. He starts calling, like, tow service, and he's like, trying to help us get the car off the road. Right then and there was a cop that was right there. Never saw him. He pulls over, starts directing traffic, and then, like, literally 3 minutes later, some dude comes by in a Jeep to take us to the funeral. And this all just happened at once within, like, I don't know, a 10-minute period, right? And I noticed that this big dude's got a hat that says Marines on it. And I was like, my father-in-law was a Marine, and we had military honors at his funeral. And I was just like, okay. Now, I'm a type of person where I know that if there's a holdup, there's a reason why. We were being stopped from something because the whole procession waited like 10, 15 minutes. I don't know what we got stopped from. Maybe it could have been somebody who ends up going through a red light and hits one of us. I don't know. But I feel like we got stopped from something. And because the immediacy of people coming right in that I never even saw coming, and the fact that they're just willing to jump in, help get us to the funeral, no gas money, nothing, just, hey, let me help you out. Because this was not a short drive to the funeral. I mean, to the cemetery. It was a 45-minute drive, and this dude's like, yeah, I'll take you. Like what? So we get there. I don't think the people waited for us more than, like, 15, 20 minutes. Like, that was insane. So, we finish up the service and make our way finally back to where the guy had towed the car, which literally was like maybe 1,000 feet from where we went, boof, on the road. Right there. So everything was just bam, 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 bam. It just stuck with me. I'm just like, wow, this is... And the only thing I could figure is we were being stopped from something. Because why would we be driving on this car, on this wheel, for 3.5 weeks? No incidences, no way of figuring out what it was. And then all of this happens right then and there. on the way to the cemetery. Like, you can't tell me that we weren't being stopped from something. You can't convince me otherwise. So I'll never know what we were being stopped from, but we were definitely being stopped from something. So we get to the place, and we're figuring out the car situation and trying to figure out. I don't know if you know anything about Toyotas, but especially with the Prius, a lot of the older models, you need a special socket to get the lug nuts off. Okay, it's not just a generalized socket. It's like a special one that Toyota makes for that car. We're like, okay, well, we didn't change the brakes, obviously, because we would have noticed. We would have thought, oh yeah, maybe it's the lug nuts. We didn't do anything we didn't change tire, because if you're, doing the brakes, you're messing with the tire. So we're like, what? Were there kids that maybe, thought it would be a fun prank to just mess with somebody's car? And we're like, no, it can't be that, because you need a specialty socket, especially for that car, right? So we're just trying to figure out what it could have been. I eventually, after racking my brain for a couple days, I think I know what the issue was. And if these people loosened up our lug nuts on purpose, that's really shitty. Because they could have just came over and said, hey, yada, 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 and it would have been fixed. Okay, what the issue is that my hood of my car has no paint. And sometimes when I go grocery shopping, I back in. So I'm thinking the sun is hitting the hood and it's going to their house, right? I'm like, okay, this is the only scenario I can come up with. I do not know, disclaimer, I do not know if it was them. I will never know it was them. I do not have a camera. I have a Ring. We don't have it set up. We are working on that. But this is the only scenario I can come up with, because they also have Toyotas in their driveway, quite a few. So this is the only thing I can piece together. And I'm like, you can't just come over to somebody's house, knock and go, hey, can you park in the other direction? Instead, you're gonna loosen up people's lug nuts so they can potentially die. That's pretty fucking major. Like, what the hell is wrong with you, if that's the case? And I'm starting to think that's the case, because after we finally, we went back the next day, because we had to keep the car overnight. The guy had to get parts, because this dude actually works on semis, not on cars. So he's not going to have all the parts. But he went and ordered parts for us, all this stuff. And we finally, get the car on the road, and he says, after you drive a few miles, go around and check all your lug nuts again, make sure they're tight, because, that can happen. So, we do that. The front on the other side was loose. I'm like, okay, no, this was definitely intentional. Both front ones, but that one wasn't, making, I guess that the right side must have taken the brunt of everything. I don't know. The rotor got chewed up. The whole thing. So yeah, that's my story. So today we're gonna swap tires, I guess, because it's something to do with the balance of the car. I don't know. I'm gonna learn that today, because I want to start working on cars more. But yeah, that's what happened, and the only thing I could think of is that was divine intervention. That, out of all those weeks of driving on the interstate a lot, especially after my father-in-law passed, we're having to drive an hour out to the home to do paperwork and all that stuff, having to drive to the cemetery to do paperwork and stuff, going back, all this stuff. None of this happened, but then it happens the day of the funeral, in the procession. You just can't tell me that we weren't being stopped for something. So angels show up in the strangest places, because everything was just bam. God bless those people. That's all I have to say. All right, signing off, and I'll see you next time. Bye.